how to build a community. Howdy, I'm Dr. Alejandro.
And I'm Dr. Emily.
And as many of you know, we have 3 clinics on our first 3 years in practice.
If you enjoy our content, make sure you subscribe and share with your colleagues and future colleagues to get on the path to victory.
We're gonna talk about that today, and we brought an expert, even if that person doesn't consider herself as an expert. We're gonna talk about this. And before I introduce that person, I was listening to Pace Morby on a seminar I went to. If you don't know about Pace Morby, Google him. He's worth, I think, close to $1 billion already. And he talked about it. He talked about Alex Hormozi. Hopefully, you know who's Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi texted him and said, "Dude, you hacked it." And he's like, "Alex, what do you mean?" And he said, "You build a community. That's all it takes to have a successful business. You build a community." So for that, I have Emily here, of course. And we have Carlie from Express Oak. If you don't live in Abilene, Express Oak is a mobile coffee shop. And everywhere she goes, she brings her whole community. So thank you for being here today, Carlie.
Thank you guys for being coffee fanatics. You guys find me everywhere. So now we brought it to the podcast.
Let's go. And Emily has a lot of questions for you. So you ready for that?
I'm ready.
So many.
You don't know any question. Yeah, it's on the spot.
Yeah, my disclaimer here. We gave Carlie no preface, no background information, no questions that we were going to ask. We also don't really have anything prepared. So we're just going to kind of shoot off the cuff too. So
yeah, and she has a coffee shop, but this will help at any part of business.
Yeah.
If you want to open a business or if you have a business, this is going to help you a lot because she has a big community behind her.
So all of these answers are 100% Carlie in real time, authentic, and we can't wait to get started. So one of the reasons we wanted to bring you on this podcast was because number one, first of all, you own a mobile coffee shop and we love coffee. But second of all, you're super passionate about what we do or what you do. We were just talking about that before, You're passionate about it. And that's something that always attracts us and helps us get more friends and get more community is this person's super passionate. So let's talk to them about how they build that passion. Can you speak just a little bit on your passion about coffee and how that turned into a business?
Yeah, I just kind of found myself in this space. My first job as a sophomore in high school was at a local coffee shop here in Abilene. It's Statesman now, but it was Big Country Coffee. So I went to Wiley and I worked there after school throughout my sophomore, junior, senior year. So that was just my little happy space. High school was kind of a hard season for me and I just loved work. I really did. And I thought there was something special in talking about community. I just felt like that atmosphere there and connecting with customers and even coworker relations. I was just thriving there and I loved it. And coffee really, I just saw how it brought people together and they didn't even have a sit-in space. It was drive-through only there. And we just had regulars and I just, really connected with that. And I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do in my life. I ended up going to college. I went to A&M and got a comm degree. But people would ask me what do you want to do post-grad? And I was like, I don't know, I think I want to have a coffee shop someday. And I kind of got laughed at because people were like, you can't make money at that really. I mean, that's kind of just the retirement dream that people have,
Mm-hmm.
And so I really didn't know. But I would say kind of without knowing, that passion just kind of took me places. And so really anywhere I went, I was just trying to connect with other coffee shop owners and get hired on places. Yeah. And so I worked for a roastery for a while. I managed coffee shops. I was in a coffee club in college, just any time. I mean, I studied at coffee shops, couldn't get away from it. And so just kind of put myself in those spaces. And then I remember driving in Abilene when I had first moved back here after college. And I saw this adorable little coffee camper on the side of the road. And I thought, oh my gosh, what is that? Nearly wrecked, making a U-turn in the road to go up to it and met the owner and got just an Americano and worked a few shifts with him. And then it wasn't till a couple years later that ended up coming full circle that I heard he was selling and I connected with him. I was in a season where I didn't have a job and was looking for something. And my parents were like, you need a job with benefits and you need to get big girl job.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I'm going to buy this coffee truck. Had no means to do it. But man, it was just such a God thing how the doors kind of just flung open and it fell in my lap. And he was such a great mentor to me and helped me get started. And really hit the ground running with something he already had established here. And so that's a whole podcast in itself, how that all got started. Yeah. But yeah, that's how we
That's pretty cool though, how you went over everything, we're talking about mentorship way before this, but you basically work as statesman, coffee club,
Yeah.
roasting coffee, met the guy, worked for him for a little bit. So
Mhm.
you pick their brain basically. So
Right.
that's pretty cool.
And I want to go back really quick because this is something I always think about whenever we get coffee from you is like you're in this little, I don't want to call it like a little, but it's a small space, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a small camper. How do you make all that work? And you've got like 3 staff usually working?
We've learned can't really successfully put more than 3 people operating in the trailer at one time.
Good
So
to know.
someone taking orders, someone making drinks. If it's high capacity enough event, we'll need someone on the back bar just to help hand things out and be kind of a
Yeah.
flexor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a small space. We kind of
Make it work.
make it
Yeah.
work. I always tell girls that are working for me, like, you've got to get comfortable because we're going to bump into
Mhm.
each
Yeah.
other. Just stop saying sorry. We're
That's
just
Totally.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And when you started, do you start by yourself or do you have people already working with you?
I was recruiting friends and family that would volunteer for
Okay.
a good amount of time.
I love
And then, I just had a lot. I immediately had people like just surround me and want to support me.
Yeah.
And if I can ever help, so my sister was one of those for a long time that she was in nursing school at the time and she hopped in and didn't know a thing about coffee. Lots of people that didn't have any coffee
Yeah.
experience that just were like
Yeah.
helpful hands. And then, I just kind of waited for passionate people to find me. I've never like posted that we're hiring or anything like
Yeah.
that. I just have prayed and believed that God would send me the people that
Yeah. should be
were
there.
like, should be there. And
Two
so
things
far, he's
here
done that.
I want to break apart here
Okay.
because a lot of chiropractors that are mainly the listeners, they don't want to start with staff because they're
Mhm.
scared of their overhead. But
Yeah.
high overhead is going to bring you more clients basically because you have the help. So basically, how important is having people helping you? And second, you mentioned that you hire people without experience on coffee. Do
Mhm.
you educate them while they're working with you a little bit about like what is what it
Yes,
takes?
definitely. It's good for them to know about coffee to some degree because half people that come up to our trailer, they want to be told what they want to drink. They want to know what's good. They
True.
want, so you
Mhm.
got to be
Yeah.
well versed in some sense, but really you just got to be a people person. Like
Mm.
I'm just so big about that people aren't necessarily coming up to our trailer. Yes, we have a good product at the end of the day, I believe,
Yeah.
but more than that, people just want to be seen and they just want to feel good. And so you
Yeah.
just are kind of there to hype people up is really
Yeah.
kind of our goal half the time. But yeah, passionate people have found me. And I've also realized that hiring people is definitely worthy investment. I was scared in the beginning. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make enough money today. Is it worth paying someone
Yeah.
to be here?
Yeah.
But it is always worth it, especially now too, because it frees me up more to connect
Mhm.
with people whenever someone else is able to, we're a team there. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That's pretty
That
neat.
sounds like that's like your ultimate motive too, is like you're hyping people up, you're connecting with people, but the
Mhm.
means that you do that through is through coffee.
Yes.
But it sounds like if you were like a photographer, you would somehow find a way to connect with people too. It's just that's your like mode of transportation, if that makes
right.
sense.
Literally, it's just the random little platform that God's given me. It just happens
Yeah.
to be coffee, I guess.
So cool. Okay, have to talk about your merch because you're obviously wearing it.
Aw.
But you guys, you in particular, are so good about making shirts and hats, and people want to buy them. This guy here has, I don't even know how many of your shirts, which we love. by
So
the way.
awkward he didn't wear it today.
See, oh,
What are we
She was
doing?
gonna
I'm
say
called
kidding.
something.
out personally. Where did you come up with these ideas, and how do you get people to invest and buy into that?
Man, that's a great question. I have a ton of talented people surrounding me. I'll shout out the girl who did these hats. She's got her own thriving business right now. I think like it's taken off so much. She's looking for warehouse space right now. But her name's
Sweet.
RJ. She's with Worthy Hat Co. based out of Merkel, Texas.
Cool.
And so I just gave her my ideas and she gets these hats embroidered. She does truckers, which I know is like the trend right now.
Yes.
So we always try to do like a fun promo shoot. I just feel like if people can see it,
That's sick.
they
yeah.
want it.
Yeah.
And so really, really I'm big on social media marketing.
Yes.
I also just find it fun.
Yeah.
But it is time consuming, but worth it. I think, people are visual people.
And do you
so.
deliver it when people order, or do you just give them to them by
Yes.
hand?
I kind of have a janky system. I don't have like merch where you can directly buy it through my website. I haven't figured out how to like I'm not in the retail space
Like a
as much.
Shopify or
Like,
something like that. Yeah.
I've created like an online Google form
Mhm.
and people can go through and buy there and I just directly invoice people. And then connect with them and either find a time where they can pick it up, or I deliver it to their house, or we ship it out. So yeah, it just individual by individual basis,
Depends.
kind of. Yeah.
Depends on the situation.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And you mentioned you're really big on social media. Your social media page is on point for sure.
Thank you.
And you mentioned like you like doing that. But what would you say? By the way, are you the only person in control of your social media?
Yes, as of now.
Okay. As of now, are you planning to outsource or have somebody help you out?
Gosh, that'd be nice. I have so many areas that I need to delegate and outsource. It's just that requires, like you said, kind of equipping people and delegating, releasing a little bit of control, which I'm not always good at.
Yes.
But yes, I need to do that. / it is in the plans at some point.
Is this your full time?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
How do you come up with ideas for social media? Like we have a ton of chiropractors who are always asking us like, what's trending? What's the latest? How can we get more people like drawn to our page? Like what are some of your ideas that we could apply to any business maybe?
I'm big on reels. I've just kind of, like watching what's trending. I think movement is big.
Yeah.
I've learned less than photos. But the best stuff, and I was talking to actually Darren about this the other day. The stuff that does best is a lot of the behind the scenes content. I don't know what it is, but people like love to see the grind. They want to know like the day to day, like not always the like super fun stuff, but like the nitty gritty work. So that stuff tends to get the most engagement. And it's not all that complicated. You just kind of you have to be a little bit quick minded just to think to like set up a camera, and it seems silly sometimes. So if anyone could watch me half the time, like propping up my tripod, like they'd be like, she's ridiculous. But yeah, just filming. And I probably got an insane amount of just random content on my phone that doesn't need to be there. But if you can pull bits and pieces of that and just put some music behind it, I mean, it's
I agree with you there actually.
There's not a ton of planning that goes into it. Half the time it's on the fly.
You got me with a video actually when you were at base and it was like storming and your truck was like soaking wet. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, because people are saying like, when you put the cups here and there and the coffee and all the grind, but like, like you're not perfect.
They don't think about us closing the window when it rains. But
and
like
literally, like I don't know if you saw it, the truck was getting wet inside, and I was like, that's pretty cool that she posted that. And I have a question for you. Retention is basically 80% of the business. I don't know if you knew that. We're doing our research. It's 80% of the business, and despite you being mobile coffee shop, how do you keep retaining your clients? Like the community.
That's a great question. I mean, a lot of it is through social media, like you're saying. Like we're like definitely always quick on response time, commenting back to people. But we actually don't have, like you guys know, we do mostly private events. So we don't have like a coffee shop standalone where we just have regular customers that come in through the doors every day that we're like seeing those same faces. The only place that we do that is on base. And we do have regulars, probably somewhere between 100 and 200 like regular customers every week. But I would say, let me think, just following up with people too. Like our customers a lot of the times aren't just someone that we're directly selling a cup of coffee to. It's like clients, like a group of PTO with Wiley High School. It's the venue owner at Sabrina Cedars. It's these people who were going to their venues, to their spaces, to their corporate offices. So I'm constantly following up whenever I see my reports from last year. Okay, we came for your Christmas party here. So let's check in again and see if y'all are doing that again. Can we come out? And a lot of times, I mean, people are good about just reaching out on their own. But those repeat events.
That's pretty cool because I have I see a lot of military people and they come on Thursdays usually and they're like, I got coffee today, you know where, right? And I'm like, shut up.
I know.
Like, I'm hating here because I'm not part of base. But I would say as well to answer that for you actually, because I'm seeing it from the other side. And every time we go to places, I kind of see the same people as customers.
We do.
And it's the customer service. Like even you could be busy, like the line like 1 mile away, and you're still gonna take the time to like talk to that person that you're like, like while they're paying and all that. It's like, how's your day going?
It feels hard for me to say that because I don't want to like hype us up or like whatever. But that is the point. Like I know when I see those same faces, like they're coming and like they want to feel seen, like I said before. And so we're gonna make it a point to talk to them and not just take their order and go through the motions. Like it's a connecting point.
Yeah, and that's something you could apply in every business. It's like
Right.
whenever that person comes to you, like what I told the staff is like, you have to be the best part of their day.
Yeah.
That way they remember you, basically. And I feel like you guys are pretty good at that.
Make them feel special no matter what. Again, whatever mode of transportation that is. Like you have to do that for them. Okay, a couple things I want to backtrack to. You mentioned like some of your best reels, some of your most watched reels and in social media stuff was the non-sexy, all the behind the scenes stuff. And I think part of that is like people are kind of tired of people posting their highlights of their life, right? We want authenticity. We want to see like what does it really take? Because I imagine there's a lot of people watching you and following your business, and they're like, I could do that. I could open up a mobile coffee shop. But when you post stuff like that, they're like, oh, it's a lot harder than I thought.
Like respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say one of the best reels that I did was actually pretty early on. I had one of my worst days ever. And I actually cried in front of some customers.
Like sales wise or
no, just I guess in personal and in business. It was just a rough day. Everything that should have gone efficiently and just didn't. You know when you have those days.
Absolutely.
And so it's just like, I don't know. I forgot my keys. I like forgot the gas in the generator, whatever, like little things. And then I spilled a whole hopper full of beans on the floor in front of a line of customers. And I don't know, in that moment, yes, I even had a little breakdown, cried, but also was like, this is fun. Like, I've got to document this. And so I took a picture of it in that moment, really just to make fun of myself later. And then I thought, people need to see this. Yeah. And so at the same day, I spilled some coffee on myself. Anyway, posted that, and it got some of the most views I've ever gotten because people are just, I guess they would just be memeing on me. But see it. They want to see it.
But you're just turning something real into like, oh, I can relate to that. Like, yeah, this girl too has bad days. Like, it's not just all glitz and glamour, and like having a coffee truck is super fun. Like, there are not so fun things about it. And like you posting that, I feel like just makes people connect to you so much easier. Like, oh, she's a real person.
Yes.
Right.
And especially for a small business, people want to see the face, they want to know you guys. Yes. And they want to support people, not just a name,
Yes, 100%. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pick on this guy a little bit because he's obsessed with your coffee. He loves your coffee. He loves your business, which is partly why we brought you on.
It's just genius, dude. If you think about it, like if you guys, a lot of our followers are not from Abilene, but just Instagram espresso, it's like pretty sick, honestly. Yeah. Like I admire the hustle, and that is something that I told her. Like, the coffee is amazing. Like, and I told you that last week, I think it was. But it's just I admire the hustle, and like when I see a business like that, I'm like, how can I implement things that they're doing in their business into our business? Because it's genius, and it's just I could take it from there and just apply it here. So why not?
Well, you can have like a great product, or all the things, but I really have just learned. I think you can really outwork anyone. Like at the end of the day, that's what no one can take away from you is like how hard you hustle. Like, and all the competition, not necessarily a bad thing, but just like, you can just work hard.
I love that. That'll be a great reel. No, that'll be a great reel. What I was going to say is you always post on your social media, like where you're going to be for the week. Is that like well planned out and well thought out? Obviously you have to talk to the, like where you're going to be, the locations and all that, but how far in advance do you plan your quote unquote marketing calendar?
Our books are open, I guess, as far out as you want to do it. I don't know where they start and end. But honestly, people are last minute. And so a lot of that stuff is, as far as my week to week schedule is only a couple weeks in advance that we're booking those dates out. But I've got we've got the ones we know are going to be like New Year's Eve party at Abilene Country Club. Like that's every year. Yep. We've got weddings booked in the summer and the winter, like far out. So it's kind of just all over the place, but the week to week is definitely kind of more last minute. So I think people always get the impression we're so busy, we're so booked out, don't reach out. I'm like, no, don't hesitate. Like, gotcha, we're open. Like, and we're at the point too where we can do double events, too, or even a morning event and an afternoon event. So even if I'm booked up in the evening, I might have something available earlier in the day that we could still make it to. So
that's cool.
I'm a yes girl. I guess we just do it all.
Do you utilize Canva? Is that like your go-to platform?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not to give away your proprietary secrets, but
oh no, not at all. It's nothing that professional either. I just kind of throw it together and it's stuck.
So. Hey, so we're talking about the wins. Let me ask you something. Did you ever think you were not gonna make it, like during the process? Was there any moment that you said, "Oh crap, I might have to get a real job or whatever"?
I think it snowballed a lot quicker, like in a good way. I think I originally went in with more fear
Yeah.
of like, there's no way this could be full time. I will have to have something consistent,
Mhm.
and this will be my fun side thing. And then I just realized as I got further into it, my mind cannot handle all the scatteredness of trying to, work a full-time job here, a part-time job here, and my side business here. I mean, it was just like I can't do anything well if I'm overstrung.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it was more of just a decision to go all in one thing, and that was scary and a little risky. And things were tight for a little
Mhm.
while, like not sure. But I
Mhm.
kind of just had this realization that nothing's gonna grow if I don't go all in, and I'm all in one area.
Yeah.
And I was just double-minded in all my ways, and that's not good.
Yeah.
I
So
love that though.
If
yeah.
you're a note
Awesome.
taker, hopefully you took notes there, because
Yeah,
that's
it's
a
good.
simple example. And like what I was talking to the college yesterday, like you have to go all in, and you're
Mhm.
gonna be scared. And like Emily and I had a rule of like it's a 2-minute shower when we started, like no more
Yeah.
than 2-minute shower, because we only have one income, and
Right.
it's from our business. So if we're not doing good, it's
Quick
like
showers.
yeah,
Cold
it has to be a
showers.
quick shower. But
But
don't
I
feel bad
had I
about
had
saying
my
that you didn't
backup
struggle.
plans in place. Like I was prepared. Like if I can't make this, like I'll move back home and rent out my place, or I'll, like I just thought, here are my fallback plans. I can take these risks and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And I did. I was blessed and fortunate to know that I had a support system of a family that I could fall back
Yes.
on if need be. Not everyone has that, and
Yeah.
so the risk is scary,
Mhm.
but
So Carlie, what's the vision? Where is Espresso
Mm.
headed for the future?
gosh, I really thought in the beginning, because everyone kind of projected it onto me, I think, that a brick and mortar was just the next step. Like all the time we get the question, where's your coffee shop? When are you going to get a store? Like we'd be there every day, all that, which is awesome. But I just don't think that that's my goal. I've really just loved the mobile aspect of it. And I just think that hone into that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
if we do that well, it's a completely different business structure than a brick and
Yes.
mortar.
Mhm.
We basically are caterers at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And more than that, we're an entertainment service, is what I like to say. I learned that from, I was part of a coffee conference of mobile coffee businesses out of the Dallas area. They invited me to be on this little web seminar. This was several years ago. But they said that about being an entertainment service. And I thought, that is so true.
Mhm.
Like the more events I do, the more experience we get, I realize people are hiring us literally to connect with people, to make their event
Mhm.
more fun.
Mhm.
And so it's literally so much less about the coffee and like
Yeah.
about the party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, and that's
That'd be funny.
genius, and that's what her and I were talking recently about. Like, she said, "Carlie should open a store, whatever." I'm like, "Nah, dude. Like, she has the
Yeah.
community hacked already. Like,
Yeah.
wherever she goes, the community is gonna show up. If
Yes.
she has a store,
Right.
the community is gonna be a hit or miss."
And you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a little risky and it's
Yeah.
a totally different
100%.
deal. But I also think, like you said, the hack, and I hate to even say it, but we do have it because I think people want what they can't always get.
Mhm.
They're gonna go find the coffee truck. They
Mhm.
almost like the chase, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
Instead of like the Starbucks that they can get, or
Yeah.
every day of the
Yeah.
week. It's like, oh my gosh, they're here this day. It's a demand that we're creating.
Mhm.
And that even makes them want to book us for their wedding even more, or have us cater their office party because this is something special that you can't always get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
People
pretty
love
cool.
the challenge, I think, too,
Yeah.
is part of it. And that's like why I'm telling you, he's on your Instagram every day. Like, where's she going to be this week? Like, but you've created addicts like that. Like, you really have. And
I'll
that's
call it
part
my
of the
coffee
chase.
stalkers.
Coffee
Yeah.
stalkers.
Coffee stalker. Let's go.
Support
Let's
your
start that
local
group.
caffeine dealer. But one of the things too, I wanted to quickly mention, the first time we, I guess, got to know you, came in contact with you, you came to Bethel
Yes.
Assembly, and you gave out free coffees for all the mothers on Mother's
Mhm.
Day. And I was pregnant, and I was like, I don't know if I really like apply for this because I'm not technically a mom yet.
Absolutely.
And you were like, you get a coffee, and I was like, I guess it has to be decaf. But I want to know like how you come up with creative ideas like that, like giving out free coffee to mothers on Mother's Day, because it's super smart. Because he also is going to buy a coffee, maybe even two, while you're there. So like, how do you come up with these marketing ideas?
Well, I can't take credit for that. That was the church that wanted to bless the moms.
cool.
So
you're hired by the
that's-
church, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But man, it's not just me. I think I've got a team of people and people always throwing ideas
Cool.
at me. So yeah, I can't take credit for that.
Sounds like you're a big fan of collaboration. And that is like part of what your obviously the whole business model is collaborating. So
that's fun. I love, whoever I can connect with that's doing something fun, like you guys.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. And if you don't know, it's totally fine because you have a big community. But do you have a target market?
I would say that I try to do a lot with ACU. Because that little ring by spring thing they have going on. I just know there's going to be a lot of girls that are going to be getting married. And so any way I can get in with them, I try to do. Like we're catering the next 2 Christmas parties for the sororities there.
Okay.
So I think it's the Siggies and the Kojis. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm like, if I can get my coffee cart in front of them, like that's my target audience because I really would like to get more into the wedding industry space. So that's
so you like that, the wedding?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I feel like that's a really I don't want to say it's like the latest trend, but it really is like instead of a bar, I think people are actually moving more away from the alcohol space and more into like coffee and tea and stuff like
Obviously,
that.
I'm biased, but I just think it's such a fun addition to a wedding. I really do. And like, who doesn't want coffee? Like to fuel the reception and all that. And even people that don't prefer alcohol, they get another option and
that's true.
Something crafted to them too, which is always fun.
Yeah,
made to order. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, anything else you want to add, Carlie, while we wrap up this podcast?
I just want to learn from you guys because you guys are hustlers and you're doing it with a family. I just think that's incredible. And I hope to have a dream team like you guys someday. So
that's
y'all
cool. Hey, let me ask you something actually. And yes, marriage is underrated. Yes. And something we learned actually, Carlie, now that I don't know if you're single, but it is the spouse has a big role, even if they don't work with you. It plays a big role, and that's something that we've been learning from our mentors a lot. Because if you don't have the support of your spouse, like
that's your cheerleader.
Yeah, it's not gonna be good. So, what advice do you have for someone that is going to open a business?
I think, gosh, I was talking to a group of ACU has an entrepreneurship program. They asked me to come speak out not too long ago. And I heard a good friend of mine who's a florist here say it one day to me, and she called it imposter syndrome that she has. And I would say that's such a thing. And nobody ever has it figured out. I'm the first to say they don't. So you just got to go for it and not doubt yourself too much. Also, don't spend too much time looking left and right. Hone into your passion and let it take you places. I mean, that's pretty broad.
Yeah.
But I think that, and like I said earlier, the hard work thing too. I mean, grind.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to outwork you.
Nobody can. Yeah. And I think in staying consistent too, I mean, I've just witnessed, or I try to do this a lot and not overpromise and underdeliver on things. So I've had to tone it back because I'm a people pleaser and I want to go above and beyond, but you got to know your limits too. And so,
boundaries.
Be watchful of that. And so under promise, over deliver.
I love that.
Go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming by today with
so
your busy
much.
schedule. And
where can people find you, Carlie?
Oh, that's good.
I will let you guys know about that.
Not the coffee shop, but like social media.
Social media at Espresso. There is no X in it. It is just Espresso. One word. So we're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Low key on TikTok. I'm not really big on that platform. I'm trying to do better. I need to delegate in that area.
Yes.
But follow us there. We post our schedule every week. And lots of fun content. So follow along.
Follow her. Thank you, Carlie.
Thank you guys.